Your greatest competition is not the other person, it's you.
First off, you have to market and you have to network.
Everybody we've met has helped us in one way or another.
I couldn't stand to hear people, the community say they were sweating their perms out. You can't sweat your perm out. You can't do that.
And then understand that it is hard work.
It's more than notion just saying I want to be in business. You got to have finances, you got to pay taxes, there's unemployment, there's insurances.
It doesn't make any sense that we don't have financial literacy classes within the high schools.
They need to show the commercials during regular hours. Why do they show the black commercials at like 2 in the morning? Like,
Bob Lanier, publisher of Black Pages Ohio. I've been at this business for 18 years.
You know, we have to have economic justice in our communities where African Americans and those of color own those businesses where they are, living and shopping.
Darian Tucker, graphic designer. I own Insignia Graphic Studios here in Cleveland.
how long have you been owning Insignia Graphic?
I've owned it for just over 2 years now.
And through the 2 years, well, first off, what made you want to get into this? What made you want to become an entrepreneur, business owner, and specifically a graphic designer?
I've been an artist my entire life, from drawing and painting and everything. And sometime around in college, I had to figure out how I was going to get paid to do that. So got into the graphic design field. Halfway through college, had to intern someplace and interned here. Then it was called Kroll Graphics, which was just a sign studio then, and fell in love with it, so I just took with it.
Okay. What kind of barriers did you have to overcome? Was there any fear? Were you nervous about, taking that leap and becoming a business owner?
Oh yeah, a lot of fear there. It was basically just worrying if I'll be able to pay the bills, worrying if I'll be able to pay myself, worrying if I could actually even do it or get customers. Primarily, the business revolves around obtaining customers, maintaining customers, and retaining those same customers. So it's a lot of stuff going on, so I was worried if I would be able to actually do it.
Okay, so 2 years ago you were worried, but now it seems like you have a lot of business, a lot of customers. Are you seeing a steady flow of business?
Yeah, steady flow of business. Things have actually picked up since the recession for me. And that was kind of scary because I actually started this right there, right in the recession, and I was worrying if I'll actually be able to get customers. But they're coming in. I converted the sign shop to an actual design studio, so I do more than just signs, and that allowed me to grab new customers and new markets.
Okay. Who are some of your customers, your clients?
And generically, it's small businesses. From your mom and pop dry cleaner who may need just some basic window lettering to the landscaper who needs business cards or his vehicle lettered up, all the way up to large corporations. Done things for City of East Cleveland, doing projects for City of Cleveland now, working for a lot of contractors and construction workers.
Michael Williams, the director of the Black Studies program. Attended the Mount Union, now it's called Mount Union University, it was Mount Union College. Went to Case Western Reserve for a master's degree. Then I went to University of Pittsburgh for a PhD and a master's degree. It was a joint degree. And finishing up a third master's degree in the seminary at Ashland University.
What made you realize that education was so important that you needed to really pursue it full on and go all the way up, and get to doctorate field?
I think coming out of the 60s, learning and watching what was going on during that period of time, and understanding that knowledge was truly power, and that the more that you knew about the world that was around you, the more you can control the things that happen to you and your family in different situations. And quite honestly, finding out that the street life was not this type of life that I wanted to live, you know, so there was a different type of reality there.
They do actually, statistics are showing that there are a lot of the business owners that are African American. They actually do have degrees and things like that, so that is great that people are educated. But then there's always that flip side of it as well. And what I tend to see is that they say 92% of all black businesses are actually only one employee. So it seems to be a lack of team effort. Would you attribute that to anything prior to our history, or how do you see that in your eyes?
Well, I think part of it is coming up out of slavery, coming up out of apartheid, coming out of segregation. There's a lot of things that people have to take into account. The economic resources to start businesses, all those type of things. If you go back to the period right out of slavery, you find that there was a tremendous amount of black businesses during that period of time because people were involved in the self-help. And I think we have to change what we believe is our traditional notions of what constitutes a business. You know, and as opposed to, as you said, with statistics, what constitutes self-employment. There's two different types of things that they're looking at. So I think there's a number of combinations of things, and I think people are moving in that direction to form their own businesses. And I think you're going to see more of that in the future. Well, I think one of the things is that with unemployment being the way it is just globally, and plus in the country, is forcing people to think about creating their own jobs. And as I tell people, for the most part, the first business that you must manage is yourself. So if you can't manage yourself, how will you manage a business, okay? And so the thing that you're seeing is that this economy is forcing people to do what they did in the 30s, during the Depression, to make a job. And from there, form a business. And helping those businesses grow and expand.
My name is Christopher Brown, owner, operator of C Beauty Art, web-based art business, catering to students, all types of artists in regard to graphics, photography, fashion, music, film, the whole genre. That's it. That's it.
How long have you been doing that?
Well, I started with another company probably about 20 years ago. The company was called Murality. I was doing wall art. Then it transferred over to doing some creative writing, moved a little into the music. Then everything narrowed down into cbeautyart.com.
So what was your inspiration behind it?
I was always an artist, creator. So with the avenues of the internet, it just opened up a door for marketing and marketing my product. So that's where I'm at. Well, some of the challenges, I really feel that, you know, everything costs money in the industry. That's why I started a little foundation to help artists come together, help each other. It's called Students Helping Students Succeed in the Arts. I know when I first started, money was a big issue, but I wasn't gonna let that stop me. And I felt if I put together a foundation that pulled artists together, then that would help benefit all artists.
So what you used is a way to bring people together, a community, and unifying, harmonizing with artists.
With artists,
so,
correct.
You know, what we've been trying to figure out is, you know, a way to do that same thing when you talk about, you know, black businesses such as yourself. What are some of the ways that you think we could do something like that?
You have to keep your mind open for new ideas. If you shut yourself down to one specific area, you tend to miss out on other opportunities. So I just feel like if any business owners, operators brought it all together, you can build a bigger project.
I always wanted to know, how could I reach more people? How can more people be impacted? How can more people be inspired? And I don't think there's a bigger and better way than through media. So getting into the radio was a dream of mine, and now, you know, we talk to at least 2 million people a week. So it's a blessing.
I know you motivated a lot of youth. What inspires you to want to contact the youth? Like, what makes you target the youth?
It's better to build a child than to repair an adult. Very, very famous proverb. You know, when you look at the elders, man, a lot of them are set in their ways. So if we can empower the young people, then we can go to another direction, a better direction. So it starts with the young. Start with the young, we going in a better way.
As far as history, like Black history, as far as businesses, or even history in general, like how do you feel about some of the things that's taking place and where we come from here?
Well, it interests me because my degree from Morehouse is African American Studies. So history is something that I absolutely love. And when we look at businesses in our community, from all the way back to slavery to now, I think that there has been some growth, but definitely not enough. You see some successful businesses or successful standards, such as Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we see how that turned out. People were upset. They were jealous about what was happening in Oklahoma with Black Wall Street, and ultimately it was bombed and it was destroyed. So I think that it has been some success, but we need to take it to another level. And it's bigger than just us. It's not that Black people are just lazy and we just don't want no businesses. You know, it doesn't make sense that we can go in our community from Cleveland, Ohio to Baltimore, Maryland, Chicago, Illinois, inner cities across the nation, and there's more within the Black community. There are more Arab businesses and Korean businesses than Black-owned businesses. And I don't think it's because, I strongly believe, I know that it's not because we're just lazy and we don't want our own. It's another factor that's in there. And I truly believe, with all due respect, that it has a lot to do with institutionalized racism.
Okay. You also touched on slavery. What part do you think slavery might play to how businesses succeed or don't succeed nowadays?
Well, slavery, I think, has a lot to do with institutionalized racism, number one. Whether it is, let's say you want to start your own business and you need a loan. You know, you not receiving a loan has a lot to do. Now, if you got a bad credit score, then then that's, of course, that's your issue, right? But many times it has a lot to do with institutionalized racism. And this isn't, I'm not making something up. This is factual information that's happened for a very long time. So I think that slavery has done a great job, with all due respect, in creating a superiority complex. And it has done a great job in creating an inferiority complex, both. And it has a lot to do with business. So yeah, definitely.
So now in 2010, what do you think we can do to create more successful Black-owned businesses?
Yeah. Number one, it doesn't make any sense that we don't have financial literacy classes within the high schools. Many of us don't have those credit scores that we want because we just don't know. My mother, may God bless her soul, she just didn't know what it meant to be financially literate. So I embraced her knowledge of finances, and it kept me behind in the race. But now I got to run faster. That's what Dr. King said. You either run faster or always remain behind. So now I'm finding myself trying to run faster than those who are ahead of me. But I started off behind because my mother didn't know, because she started off behind, and so forth and so on. And I believe it goes all the way back to slavery and being disenfranchised. But let me be clear that African Americans, we weren't just disenfranchised because of slavery.
Actually, I got my start in 1988, retired from football in 1987, and sold cars at Lincoln Mercury store in Lorain, Ohio, for about a year. And then I applied for Ford Motor Company's Minority Dealer Training Program, which is a 2-year training program where you actually train in the dealership in every department before, and then after you graduate, Ford helps you buy your own, get your own store. So at one time I had 3 stores. I had the Ford, and I had Lincoln Mercury, Mazda, and Lima, and bought the Honda store in 2001. So I've actually been in business now 22 years.
Impressive. It's really about business, but it's really interesting and fascinating. Football. Can you tell us a little bit about being a running back, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Shed a little light on that. Tell us a little bit about your days.
Yeah. I guess I had a few glory days. But yeah, I went to Purdue University, and my hometown in Chicago. So I was born and raised in Chicago, and recruited by a number of colleges in high school. Decided on Purdue because Purdue was close to Chicago. It's only like 2 hours from Chicago and Indiana. And they did a lot of recruiting from Chicago area. And there was a lot of guys that went to Purdue. And my goal was to go to the University of California. So I knew if I ever got out there, my parents weren't ever going to see me again. And it was nice to go on a recruiting trip out there, but I knew there was no way I was going to be able to get back. Coming from the inner city of Chicago, my parents wouldn't be afford to get out there to see me play. So to me, logically was to go to a school, which was a great school, and a Big Ten school, which was Purdue, which was a couple hours away. Now they had a chance to see me play. And I was the Cleveland Browns' #1 draft choice in 1976. Housing guys probably weren't even born then. But I was Cleveland Browns' #1 draft choice at that time, the 7th player taken in the first round, and played 9 years here in Cleveland and 2 years in Kansas City, with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, retiring spring '87.
So you've always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And you were athletes. Did you find those things more exciting? Were there similarities? Did that help you at all being an athlete?
Yeah, it does help you because one thing, even in athletics, one thing it teaches you is it's called stick-to-itiveness. That means that you got to stick with something for a while. One thing is a lot of people bounce around, but sometimes you got to stick with something for a while in order to be successful at it. And also too, in football, what you learn is you get knocked down, you got to get back up and get into the game.
Bob Lanier, publisher of Black Pages Ohio.
How'd you get started?
That's a long story. I don't know if we got that much time, but I'll try and synopsize it for you. I was transferred from New York to Ohio back in '85, and upon moving into the area, I found it very difficult to find services that's indicative of the community that I'm from. Barbershops, churches, restaurants, things of that nature. So as I got here, I started asking questions about where to go to find these types of services when you're new to the area, and everybody kept giving me general locations, but they couldn't give me defined geographic areas like this number, this street here. So it was interesting that I went to the Urban League and the NAACP, and they didn't have a publication that had a list of black-owned businesses. And I just said at one point in time, I said, we need to have something, a city this big, we need to have something along that line. So that was.
So you found the void and you filled that void.
Exactly, niche. And that's most successful business, find niches, to fall into. So
that's one thing you would say a business should do is find a niche?
Find a niche and find something that they're good at, and find something that the individual excel at, and then usually you'll find a successful opportunity there.
You seem to have a long history of how you got started. What about some of the other businesses? Can you tell us anything about other businesses that you know throughout history? How blacks have come from back to now?
Mm-hmm. Historically speaking, our community has always been one of successful entrepreneurship. I mean, where it's going from washing somebody's laundry to cleaning somebody's house, they've always had 2 or 3 jobs to make things eat. It's not like